Chris.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How are you doing, Mercy?
How would you define the identity of the group?
So the business continues to evolve. I think we're learning things about ourselves and about our industry on a daily basis. So we started off the company in 2007 within Tanzania, and at that stage I would have said we are an electrical contractor, and we want to be preferred. We wanted to be the best electrical contractor in East Africa. Over the years, as we grew the business and understood a bit more about the culture of the people and the needs of the people and the societies that we were working in, we realized that was a bit of a selfish focus, that we were focusing on ourselves rather than focusing on what we should be doing, which was more about empowering people and ultimately improving Tanzanian lives it was then, but African lives as it evolved. So where we've got to now, to give a timeless element to the purpose of the business, we see the group as being a vehicle for success within infrastructure, and that's the success of our clients, the success of internal and external stakeholders. So creating environments that enable our staff to grow, to improve themselves and to improve their families, our stakeholders in terms of our supply chain, any business partners that we may have from a logistics or a plant and equipment perspective, because that's the nature of what we do, and particularly the clients and ultimately the end users. So it is about creating this environment that enables success, and that's what we would define ourselves now as an organisation. So we don't want to be categorised as a contractor or a developer, because we think it's a bit bigger than that. The mission of the business needs to have a more timeless element to it, and in all of our internal and external discussions are about our ability to actually help to enable other people's success. Ultimately, our success comes from other people. So the more that we can do create an environment that enables the success of a client or the success of an employee, then we're going to get some business success from that. We're going to get a lot of personal satisfaction from it, and that's what motivates us to continue to do the things that we do. And in enabling that, you have an indirect and sometimes a direct impact on the quality of life that somebody is living. So yeah, we enable success, we improve lives, but we focus on that constantly within the business. So traditionally you would say you're an electromechanical contractor, and we would say no, it's much more complex than that. A modern organisation shouldn't define itself by what it does, but rather what it attempts to achieve. So that's what we're doing. We're focused on what we want to achieve on a much grander scale. It's not short term, it's long term. And the legacy of the business, not just the legacy of the individuals. Where are the people within the company going to go? Where are the clients going to take their business and their development, and ultimately how does that impact positively the people across all of the countries in which we operate? So that's how we like to define ourselves. But what we do is we build stuff within the infrastructure sector. That can be power generation, power distribution, transmission, transportation infrastructure, but it's all focused on on improvement. All of the infrastructure projects and the projects that really motivate us to continue to do what we do are all have a focus on benefit, significant benefit to society. So I guess that's how I'd like to capture it. We're a vehicle for the success of others and ourselves.
Mm-hmm. So as you say, the company started with a Tanzanian base. Talk me through a bit of the development of the geographical footprint of the
CSI. My route to Tanzania went back to 1995 when I went to work for a contracting business there. We had some successful projects. I moved back to the UK, then went to Uganda. And it was really at the time that I was in Uganda that I started to seriously enjoy Africa as an opportunity. I was a little bit more mature. It made more sense to me. So it was a bit more fulfilling. I then left. I went back to the UK. I worked in investment banking for 5 years. And then 2006 decided that it was time to go and do something that would really give me a bit more satisfaction. So we set up with two partners in Tanzania in 2007. Our first project was in the mining sector it was a Buzwagi gold mine. So we did the village, we did some mine establishment work, some infrastructure. And from the mining sector, we moved into high quality commercial buildings. From that, we moved into oil and gas. And this was all through relationships that we built. And again, in hindsight, it's focusing on the people and their success. And then as the clients move from project to project or company to company, they asked us to go with them. And the growth of the business has been like that. So we went from Tanzania in 2012 to Mozambique. We were working in the oil and gas sector for Schlumberger and Halliburton at the time in Mtwara, doing supply bases, supporting BG Group and Statoil as they were at that stage. And as Mozambique was ramping up the work in the north, in Pemba, Schlumberger invited us to go and do a similar facility that we'd done for them in Mtwara in Pemba. So we did, and that was our first step outside of Tanzania. So we established in Mozambique. We then established an entity in Rwanda, looking at opportunities there where we do some. We have a rental fleet in Rwanda for the broadcasting company. And then we just looked at where we could grow the business and where the services that we were able to offer could be useful. But we constantly focused on the quality of service, the standards that our clients were looking to achieve. Our clients are largely international businesses working for utilities or the government in one form or another. So we were looking to bridge a gap between what they expected in terms of quality, the safety, and the on-time completion of their projects, and the perceived capability. And we always believe that the capacity and the capability is there. You just need to tap into it. You need to enable it. You need to empower people to do the things that they're capable of doing. So we looked at opportunities with clients that we already had relationships with, and that was Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana. These are all countries that we've moved into on the back of a pre-existing relationship. We've done a lot of work for Korean Tier 1 infrastructure organizations, a lot for the Japanese trading houses, and a lot associated particularly with Japanese grant aid right across the continent. So we've probably covered 5 or 6 countries with JICA and their partners, Mitsubishi, Sumitomo, and the likes over the years. So it's been quite organic. It's been relationship focused, where somebody liked what we did. We liked the way that they respected us, and we had common values and things that we wanted to achieve. So we had the approach that if you would like us to go, then we will come with you, because we trust you. And we can only work with partners that we trust. Entering a new country is always a challenge. And we wanted to always do it in the confidence that our clients had our back when we were going in, because ultimately we had their back during the execution of the projects. And we've been quite successful in doing that. And it continues to work for us. And those relationships are probably the single most important element of the business. And the growth of the business is focusing on the people and what we can do to help the clients to be more successful, to de-risk for them. Because this perception of Africa as a difficult place to work, there are challenges, but there's challenges everywhere. The challenges that we face on the continent are different, they're diverse, but no different to doing business in Europe, where there's administration and there's bureaucracy. You may not have some of the challenges that we face logistically, but we like to think that it just makes us smarter. We can work on an infrastructure project that requires 6 months planning to get materials to the project site. You don't have that challenge in a developed market, but that's something that we enjoy. So it's not an obstacle to success. It's just one of those things that needs to be overcome. So
you'd say that developing the personal relationships is vital to success in Africa?
Completely. Business from a business perspective, the growth, the relationship with the clients is imperative to us. The relationship with stakeholders in government is really important to us, and the relationship with the people. We're a people-focused industry. We can't do anything without the people within our teams, and those supporting organisations that exist on and around our project sites, and they may be formal businesses or they may be informal businesses. We have to have strong relationships with them all, because I believe that if we can communicate successfully the value that a project is going to bring, then we're going to get much more support from all of the people that have an association with it, that have a stake, whether it be village leaders or potential employees, local, truly local to a project site. I mean, some of these sites are really remote. But the only way to be successful is to communicate the benefits to people and to build strong relationships, because things go wrong. And when things go wrong, you can only rely on your relationships to overcome those challenges. If you have a poor relationship and something goes wrong, then your relationship's not going to help you at all. You're on your own, and we don't need to be on our own in a situation on the projects, not at all. So 100% relationships are from the top of an organisation to the bottom of an organisation. Relationships are massively important to us.
Mm-hmm. So obviously you're expanding your presence and footprint here in Mauritius and operating from a Mauritian base. Talk us through a little the decision to move the HQ here to Mauritius.
This came out of an opportunity from Tanzania. Again, we had clients that wanted us to have multiple support bases. They were based in Tanzania. We were based in Tanzania, but we had the structure within the business as we'd expanded. There was a lack of foresight on our part. I guess we've been more successful than we anticipated that we would be. So we structured the business in as individual organisations, and our clients wanted us to be more joined up. They wanted to be trading with a business that was a single entity rather than individual companies, albeit with the same management structure. So it was a case for us of trying to find a jurisdiction that would work for us across multiple countries, and to get the most effective solution for the business. So we chose Mauritius for a number of reasons, and the reason for choosing Mauritius have become more and more apparent to us the longer we stay here. From a big element of our business is financial control, and Mauritius has an absolutely amazing structure in terms of finance. The capacity from a people perspective was a big advantage to us. So there is a lot of qualified accountants, from a data entry perspective, from a CFO level. There's a lot of really qualified people in the market here. So we looked at the capacity of the workforce to support the growth of the business. We looked at the opportunities that Mauritius itself presented from and across Africa, from a Pan-African perspective. Our business touches the west, the east coast and southern Africa. So with the dual taxation agreements that exist, it also offered significant advantage to us, and at the time the financial structures from a tax perspective were attractive. I mean, that can't be ignored. The changes recently, I think, have made it more sustainable, and it's I think it's a good thing that Mauritius has now changed its tax structure to make it more effective internally. Everybody's taxed at the same level. There's no benefit to anybody else. But still, from a business perspective, there are benefits of being here. So dual taxation agreements, finance, location. We can access Asia, we can access the UAE, we can access Africa, multiple flights in and out to Kenya, to South Africa. So Mauritius is a good location for myself. It's a beautiful place. I mean, that can't be ignored.
Yeah, that's an additional bonus.
It is a big bonus. And I think the other element of it is that the administration here is really quite forward thinking. They understand that for Mauritius to grow, it has to grow beyond the island. So in itself, it's creating an enabling environment for businesses to do business through Mauritius into Africa, rather than trying to capture all of the business on the island, which is quite smart. And I think that idea has evolved now to the point that with the establishment of free zones on the continent, supported by Mauritius has done it quite successfully, and now transferring knowledge and helping other governments to see the benefit of those types of structures, by creating environments here where, let's say, textiles industry, people can produce, they can manufacture on the island, and they can benefit from the agreements that exist with COMESA and the Indian Ocean, Isles. There's just so much benefit that Mauritius, that trading in Mauritius offers to multiple businesses.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned the word risk a couple of times in our conversation, and this is one of the primary challenges for attracting investment into the African continent is the perception of risk, and of course geopolitical risk across many regions of the continent. Does Mauritius, as a base for you, minimise that risk?
It does. I mean, it's extremely stable, I think, is the first thing. The policies that are in place are transparent. They're easy to understand. You know what your position is. the government bodies are approachable. If we have a question, we can go to FSC. If we face a challenge, we can go to EDB. So I think that there's a transparency which helps. There's a great deal of stability, which helps. The proactive nature, the forward thinking, also helps. Because of the position that the government takes, that we can also go to them if we face challenges in another jurisdiction. It's not something that we've had to do, but we know that the service is there. So the Mauritian authorities are not just interested in getting you to do business here. They want to make your business sustainable here. They want to help people to have a business that's got a long life, and not just focus on the short term. It's very much a long-term play that Mauritius has taken, and it's for businesses like ours. I think it's an investment that needs to be made, and you need to take time to see the true benefits from it. But having now been here for 4 years as a business, and myself more so over the last 2 years, it's only once you truly engage and fully understand exactly what it has to offer that you understand just how it can de-risk for you. And we are bringing a lot of our core services to Mauritius, but not all of it. We consider it to be our headquarters. But there are some elements of a business that still are more effectively executed externally. So again, it's a business model that works well for us because we're a distributed business. We can rely on the staff to do their jobs. Connectivity is another big bonus. We have excellent connectivity. So irrespective of where I am or where our team is working across continental Africa, the Mauritius team is generally always available. Yeah. We have good fibre connections, we have good telephony, the infrastructure on the island is good, so people don't struggle to move around. So, so they help to de-risk the business in many different ways. But definitely it's a lower operating risk for a business of our nature.
So obviously there's there's almost unlimited challenges there. Yeah. So the potential is huge, particularly when it comes to powering the future of the continent. Where do you see opportunity in particular, and for you, what are the trends that are going to be shaping the future of the continent?
I think with the growth, as you mentioned, with the current position in terms of accessibility, it's a massive opportunity. If, depending upon the latest numbers, but if 50% of the continent has no access to electricity, 600 million people, that's a lot of people, that's a lot of opportunity. So we, as a business that's in energy and in infrastructure, we know it's a huge opportunity. It's not a case of do we think, it's definitely we know, because all of these people deserve to have access to quality electrical supply in one form or another. The role that we will play, I think, will continue to evolve. We will continue to build things supporting other organisations. So there's a lot of traditional power generation, more renewables, than the transmission and distribution elements. So I think we're seeing a trend that's moving towards renewables, which is interesting from a solar and from a wind perspective. But as technology evolves, I think the thing that's probably a bit more exciting for us right now is that we're seeing that the energy storage capacity and the opportunities that come from energy storage are starting to be explored a bit more meaningfully. So, and that's not just storage for availability of power during blackouts or brownouts, but energy storage for power quality. So battery energy storage solutions are becoming, let's say, more and more prevalent, more as the renewable mix increases as a percentage of grid capacity. I think the utilities are seeing that there's an element of instability that comes with that, and they need a technical solution. So battery storage is going to be part of that. So that's something that we're quite interested in. We have Mauritius has got a battery energy storage project that's dealing with power quality, which has been quite interesting. So we're seeing more of that, and more utilities recognising the need for it as they implement and become more reliant upon this renewable energy source, be it wind, because there's an intermittency from a wind perspective and from a solar perspective. As that intermittency comes into play, there's an instability because historically this infrastructure has not been perhaps as well considered as it could have been, as future-proofed as it should be. So people are seeing that now, and the technology is actually enabling it to happen. It's more cost effective. The cost and the quality of the battery technology is developing. So I think that's a really interesting element for us.
And I think these perceptions around these issues have changed very quickly in the recent years in Africa, the acceptance of renewables. And
I think there's more acceptance of them as they become, let's say, more cost effective.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Ultimately, yeah. It's more cost effective. But I think the other aspect of it is that as an industry, we, as developers, it's been a case of, for a long time, that I want to build a solar farm, or I want to build a wind farm, or I want to do this, and it's whether the host government wants you to do it rather than the fact that you want to do it. So we've gone and we've said, this is the project that we want to give to you, which has resulted in some projects being executed that perhaps weren't exactly what that particular nation needed at that particular time. And I think what an element of what's changing now is people are reconsidering their business and the needs of their clients, and say, okay, we have this solution. How can we make it work for you? What challenges that you face that our solution can bring? And being a bit more receptive to the needs of the governments, rather than aggressively trying to sell something that isn't perhaps the right solution for that particular moment in time. Yeah. And trying to educate the utilities as well, and let them understand that the options that they've got. And I think people such as myself, they have that responsibility, and it's an obligation to not necessarily just to go and sell your product for your business, but go into to enlighten people and share with them the opportunities that exist for them, and investing in the relationship. Because if I can help somebody to make the right decision and a more successful decision, I'll have a stronger relationship with them. And when ultimately the right opportunity comes for our business, that relationship is so much stronger. Rather than selling them something today that's not sustainable for them, the result in them having an inferior solution that's not sustainable for me as a business, because I can't then go back to that client and say, I did a good job for you there. Yeah, you sold me a good product, but it wasn't the product that I wanted. Why didn't we explore that a bit more? So I think there's an element of, getting back to your point, is acceptance, yes. Cost effectiveness is there. But also a change in the way the sector goes about its business. It's not just doing things because we want to do them, it's doing things because it's right for a country or a continent, and most importantly, the people. Providing the people to a utility, providing a solution to a utility that doesn't give the people any benefit, it's just not it's not something that should be explored.
So your growth will come from a combination of educating the market whilst also analysing what the correct fit is in the wider environment of each market.
We'd like to see it that way, yeah.
So one issue you've spoken a lot about throughout this interview is the importance of people and developing human capital. This obviously remains a challenge on many parts of the continent, and many of the interviews that we hold, there is a concern regarding the relationship between private sector and the education sector, and of course with government in the middle driving the education sector. Do you believe there remains in many ways a mismatch between the output of the education sector and the needs of industry, and how as a sector can you go around really developing this next generation of skills which Africa will need to develop and to prosper?
100%. There's definitely there's a gap, there's a disconnect in terms of the skills that let's say the youth are being developed to have. And one of the challenges, or probably the biggest challenge that the infrastructure sector faces, is that it's just not sexy. You know, if you say to an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old that you can be an electrician or a fitter or a mason or a carpenter, or you can be a software engineer or a web designer, or go into finance, be an accountant, more and more people, more and more children, and you know, rightly so, because there's a lot of peer pressure and there's a lot of opportunity for them. They're going to choose the sexier industries, and you know, infrastructure and construction isn't a sexy industry. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to make it more attractive. We need to let people understand that infrastructure is essential. It's essential for them themselves. It's essential for the communities that they exist in. And from a purpose perspective, it's really quite a fulfilling career. You get to build things that positively impact so many people. Yeah, much more so than if you build a website. You know, the website may be the best website in the world, but ultimately its positive impact on society is minimal. So there is a disconnect. We need to address it. We need to address it with the governments. We need to address it as a private sector. I think that there's a lot of things that can be done. I think there's been a shift over the years away from vocational type training towards universities. So we have lots of potential engineers. But I think there needs to be a refocus there, that vocational skills are really important. There's also huge unemployment across the entire continent. So there are opportunities for people to get skills and go straight into work and to develop themselves. There's entry-level work in infrastructure, there's complex technical work in infrastructure, and then there's engineering, management, supervision, CFO, CEO opportunities for people to grow into. So I'm I'm a firm believer in creating opportunity for anybody with the right attitude. So we would look at recruiting from vocational education, identifying people that deserve the opportunities. They may not be the best. We've recruited people that we felt were deserving or in need of an opportunity over outstanding candidates. Outstanding candidates can always get opportunities. And whilst we always want the best people within the organisation, we can develop the best people for our organisation ourselves. Nobody comes out of a vocational training centre or a university with the exact skill set for any particular organisation. Our organisation culture against somebody else's is entirely different. So what we want is for people to come out with the right attitude, the right values, the correct approach to work, more so than the right technical skills. If they understand the technical need, it's important. But the ability to get yourself up and get to work and be motivated about work and be attentive, be present in your work is as important as having a technical skill. So more investment in probably at an earlier age, the importance of work and values and understanding the importance of a role within a team and the ethic of working together collaboratively and cooperatively is important. But yeah, we need to be able to fill these gaps that exist. But people are there. They may not have the level of skill that an international organisation would expect from an electrician or a carpenter or a mason. But that's something that particular business should recognise early on as a risk to its success and should do something about. And we have. I mean, we've got a lot of people that have come through the business and grown with the business, from electricians to four persons. Some of them are male, some of them are female, supervisors, and into the capacity of managers. So it's, as a business, even as a small business such as us, we can create opportunities, we can invest in education. It's not about sending somebody to school to study a very specific curriculum and come out with a cookie cutter type of education. It's about making it the staff that we have, the employees that exist within the organisation, fit for our organisation and for our industry. And those skills are transferable. Anything that we do to upskill somebody is transferable to a similar organisation. And when we're investing in people from an appreciation of quality and from an understanding of health and safety and the ethic of work and accountability and openness, these are good life skills that they can carry into any employment, not just in the sector that we have. So more focus on vocational training, but more focus on values and a reinforcement of what's important from a work culture perspective as well, and as an industry, making our industry more purposeful, making it more meaningful to people, to attract these higher caliber individuals to come in, to want to be engineers and managers and supervisors, because they're the biggest projects. There are few projects bigger than an LNG plant or a power plant, and there's a lot of satisfaction that can come from that. So make it more attractive to them as well. Yeah, make
Such a significant impact on the development of a nation must be very fulfilling. When it comes to your ambitions, it's a final question to look to the future. When it comes to your ambitions regarding African growth, how confident are you feeling in the future?
Extremely confident in in all of the markets that we're in and the continent as a whole, there are challenges. There are nations that are less developed and therefore have an increased opportunity. I think society as a whole is driving people to do the right thing. Governmentally, we're going to see changes in administrative approaches as a result of the desires of the people. Communication is so much easier now with social media and the visibility that people have and the ability to share opinions. So you can generate a large body of consistent opinion really, really quickly these days. So it's forcing governments to rethink strategies, to be more transparent in the things that they're doing and the decisions that they're making, because they're being held accountable, and they should be held accountable.
Yeah.
So we see it as a huge opportunity still. People would say that Africa's the next opportunity. It's not the next one. It's a real current opportunity, yes. and people that aren't here now are missing out on something. It's going to continue to evolve. The opportunity will change. The demands of the people that really matter, which is the people of Africa, are going to change. There's more focus on ensuring that it's creating environments that are going to contribute hugely in a positive manner to society. That's then going to enable people to do much more stuff. So that's in infrastructure across the board, education, being more inclusive, but pushing diversity, challenging cultures. All of these things are going to continue to evolve, which is going to drive change. It's going to drive positive change. I think, as we touched on earlier, the infrastructure sector, it has to evolve because the growth of the continent from a population perspective, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to Tanzania, the forecasts for Tanzania are astonishing in terms of where its population growth is going to go to. Nigeria with its populace, and so many countries have so much opportunity. I think it can't fail to happen because the people want it to happen, and governments just simply need to respond. They need to protect their best interests. They need to create environments that are enabling, but also ensure success from a host nation perspective. I think that a lot of people have learned a lot of lessons over the years about perhaps a short-sightedness on certain deals that has ultimately impacted negatively. I think we're learning a lot from that, and we will continue to do so. So I would say development opportunities are going to be significant across every sector, not just energy and infrastructure. Energy and infrastructure enables agriculture, it enables industrialization, and it enables microeconomies to be created in villages. The delivery of electricity to a rural village that's never had it before creates so much opportunity for people then to do something. And people are willing. They're just disabled by a lack of access to some of the things that are fundamental to them. So I think the more we electrify, the more we're going to create opportunity. And the more we create opportunity, people will take care of themselves. People just need the opportunity. It's that catalyst to enabling them to do something for themselves. I don't believe that Africa is in need of support to get everything done the support that we're providing is just to provide a catalyst for the people on the continent to actually do the things that they want to do for themselves, and they'll take control of that. We've just got to enable that by giving them the right access to infrastructure, be it, I'd say, roads or transportation in any format, electricity, whichever it is.
Yeah, totally. We've seen that all across the continent with technology as well. As new technologies come in, the economic growth has followed in every area. Well, good. Well, thank you very much. It's been very good talking to you. And yeah, thanks again for receiving me today.
Cool. Thank you.